Hi, everyone. If you are into human design, I believe you've heard Ross say that strategy and authority is everything. And there is some truth in that. Although I love the gene keys and the journey that we can do with the gene keys, I actually always come back to strategy and authority. And that's what grounds me in my body. Every time I get off center or I feel like I'm in my mind trying to make decisions, I come back to my body, come back to my sacral. I'm a sacral generator, 4-6 profile. So I come back to my body, I come back to my gut feeling, I come back to what is right for me right now, what's my truth right now. And I know that for me, it's in the now. It's not about the future. It's not about the past. It's really in the now. And it's extremely helpful. It's also helping me to know I'm not an emotional authority. I have a completely open emotional center. So often when there is emotional turmoil or I'm feeling, those, especially the shadow frequencies of emotions, I take a step back and I observe and I see, where does this come from? Is this really mine? So for me, strategy and authority is extremely important. We can never figure out our life with the mind. And it's really in the body that the truth lies. And what I have experienced with human design and with Drinkers is that many people get kind of stuck in the theory of it and not completely in the embodiment. And then it's wasted. The gene keys are a lot about coming back to the heart, and human design is the experiment of coming back to the body, and what we call the passenger consciousness. We are a passenger. The mind, the conscious part of us is a passenger of the body, of the form principle. So I believe that this is this is a place where we all need to come back to. It doesn't matter if you study this for 2 months, a year, 5 years, or even if you've gone already a whole cycle, the 7-year cycle in deconditioning. I still believe that we need to return. We need to remember to return to our body, to our strategy and authority, which is how do we naturally respond to life, not from our mind, but from our vehicle, from our body, from the wisdom that sits in our cells. So we are going to do a course inside our inner circle. So if you're already a member, if you're going to become a member, you don't have to do anything. It's going to be there. But we are going to go into strategy and authority. Every week there's going to be like a teaching video, we could say, where we go through the basics. But the most important and the most interesting thing is that we're going to come together and we're going to have conversations about it. Maybe you watched our live conversation on Monday, where we were inviting, it was like an open house, inviting everybody to come and speak in general about strategy and authority and the basic concepts of human design. And what we're going to do in this strategy and authority course is that we're going to be more precise. We're going to speak about the generator aura first, and then we're going to have, of course, other auras there, the projectors, the manifestors, the reflectors, and also see, how can we live together? We are going to have to cohabit, with all the different aura types. So how might a reflector perceive a generator, and how can we communicate? And that's right now we're in the transit of the 45, which is the voice of leadership, the voice of the tribe. So and we also call it the hub tree in the 64 door. So how can communication flow better? And after we do sharing authority, we're also going to go into the centers, which is the living your design basics, we could say, foundations, where really we understand what is true self, what is not self. And also, of course, the centers, depending on what's defined in your chart, that is going to be also your inner authority, because that's where it comes from. If you have the emotional center defined, then you're an emotional authority. If you don't have that defined, but you have the sacral, you're a sacral authority. If you don't have the emotional or the sacral, but the spleen, you're a splenic authority. If you don't have any of these three, but you have the G, you're self-projected. If you have the ego, it's like it depends on your definition, what your inner authority is. So go into the center and understand then what's the true self, what's the not self, is also super, super important. And I believe that this is a foundation for anybody that wants to actually have any value of these systems in your life. I mean, even if you're into the gene keys, I feel like this is a way of coming back, grounding in yourself, so that actually naturally you're going to be able to shift your attitude is going to shift. You're going to be able to live on that pathway of the gift in a way that is effortless. So for me, this is something, if you want to have value for the systems that can feel a bit mental, this is really a foundation that's important. If you want to use this in your business or with your clients to actually embody human design at this in this way is important, and to be able to know those basic concepts, because sometimes we are so eager to learn the next thing and to learn about, all the details of the gate or the variable orientation, or we kind of get ahead of ourselves and we forget about the basics. And that's the thing, if you are not aware of the aura type and the inner authority, and that's something that's become natural for you, going further on to anything, it's more like a mind game than actually being in the experiment of living, of like shifting and living that passenger consciousness, being that neutral witness, and knowing that we're floating around in the sky on this planet, like in this universe that we don't really know where it starts and where it ends. So human design is really a journey of surrendering to the form principles, surrendering our mind, and allow the intelligence of ourselves, of our body, to make decisions, or to, more than making decisions, is to navigate through life. Life is a constant navigation. It's not the mind that can really do anything for us. It's an amazing instrument, but it's not here to make decisions for us. So I hope I will see you the next few months. We're going to actually be on this journey all the way until Christmas. So if you want to go deep in the foundations and have conversation, discover things that probably have, maybe haven't even been discovered. Ra was always saying it's an experiment. Go out and experiment, especially with PHS and these things, the variable orientation. He was saying, go out and experiment and come back and tell me, right? So that's what we are continuing that journey of having an experience of it, instead of like learning it in a book and take it for a truth that isn't experienced. So hope to see you, and we're starting on Monday the 14th. Bye for now.